Have you ever felt that as you reach a certain age, all that's left is a collection of moments, memories, and few expectations? The family that, for so long, was your support might no longer be the safety net you hoped for in your old age. The truth is uncomfortable. As the years go by, family roles change, and often that unconditional support we all talk about fades away. So what's left? I'll tell you. The only thing that really remains is what you can do for yourself. It's not your family, it's not your past. It's what you choose to be now. Today, I want to talk about the 7 things that, according to the Stoics and the wisdom of great thinkers, are the only things that will remain at the end of the road. And the last lesson, believe me, will completely change the way you see the future. I'm Gabriel, and throughout this video, I'll guide you through these deep truths, essential to reclaiming your peace, your purpose, and your autonomy. Stay with me, because the journey to freedom starts now. How many times have you found yourself waiting for something from those around you, only to realize that those expectations are rarely met? Maybe, in a moment of solitude or uncertainty, you've asked yourself, why can't I trust that my family will be there for me when I need them the most? The truth is harsh, but it's time to face it. As we age, family support is not always guaranteed. The promises of being surrounded by our loved ones are often more of an illusion than a reality. And if you think that at this stage in life you can still expect your family to be your crutch in difficult times, it's time to wake up. It's true that often the family, who should be providing us support, becomes a source of disappointment. Why? Because roles change. Children grow up, couples drift apart, grandchildren live their own lives. The mother's love, which once felt unconditional, turns into a silent waiting game. Time teaches us that what we thought of as a refugee is nothing more than an illusion that often doesn't hold up against the reality of everyday struggles. The real challenge in old age is not just the loss of physical or mental abilities, but the break in a support network we thought was eternal. Take a moment to think about this metaphor. Imagine your life as a lush tree, full of branches representing the bonds and relationships you've nurtured over the years. Each branch has grown over time, nourished by closeness, attention, and love. But as the seasons change and the tree ages, some of those branches begin to wither. Others break in the wind, and many are left empty without the connection that once held them up. The tree is still alive, but it faces a new reality. It can no longer rely on those branches to stay upright. So when you reach this stage, you realize that despite having given everything, you can't keep expecting those branches to hold you up. It's a painful process, yes, but also liberating. This is what the Stoics teach us. Marcus Aurelius constantly talks about the importance of accepting what we cannot control. And if there's one thing we can't control, it's the human nature of others, even when those others are our family. Accepting this is not giving up. It's learning to find our true strength in self-sufficiency. As Seneca said, there is no better way to live than to depend only on yourself. That's where the power lies, in letting go of the illusion of dependence and embracing the freedom that comes from recognizing that, in the end, we must be our own refuge. Now, this doesn't mean you shouldn't nurture relationships or continue seeking companionship. It's not a call for isolation, but rather an understanding that true strength lies in not expecting anything that doesn't come from within. Here, the challenge is to break free from the mindset that ties you to the need for others to save you. Salvation is within you, in the choices you make to be the architect of your own life, without waiting for others to do it for you. So, as you look ahead, don't be fooled by the comfort of old expectations. The path to a fulfilling life in old age begins when we accept that ultimately it won't be family that holds us up. It's time to build an inner strength that allows you to walk with dignity with the certainty that your peace doesn't depend on what others do or don't do. The only thing left, the only thing you can truly control, is what you decide to do with each day that remains. Continuing with the previous reflection on family support, it's now time to talk about the second problem that is ruining the lives of many people: the lack of control over our own minds. If there's one thing we've learned over the years, it's that the only thing that stays with us until the end is our mind, and yet few of us realize how much we've neglected it. We worry about everything external, family problems, health, money, and forget that the real battle is within us. The second key point of this video, something we cannot ignore, is how our mind, if not nurtured, can become our worst enemy. The cause of this problem lies in how we've been taught to delegate our decisions, our well-being, and even our sense of life to what's around us. Society has taught us to rely on external factors to feel complete or happy: family, success, physical appearance. But what we forget, especially as we grow older, is that the only true source of stability is our mind. This is the hardest lesson the Stoics left us. If you don't train your mind, it can become the prison you're trapped in until the end of your days. It's fascinating how this dependence on the external world creates a sense of emptiness and frustration. It's an emptiness that can't be filled with time or more things, but with the ability to organize our emotions and thoughts. When we don't train our mind, it's easy to fall into repeating old patterns. We find ourselves constantly thinking about what we don't have or what we've lost, reliving past conversations with children, friends, or family, or anticipating fears about the future. And it doesn't matter how old we are, our mind won't stop unless we teach it to. This creates a constant feeling of dissatisfaction that, rather than lessening with age, only intensifies. Anxiety, fear, sadness all amplify when we don't know how to direct our thoughts. In my life, I've seen many people reach old age with a mind in constant turmoil. They feel trapped by repetitive thoughts and unresolved emotions. This is the root of many family conflicts. Anger, frustration, and discomfort with oneself get projected onto others. Often, when someone reaches old age without having cultivated their mind, that same lack of clarity becomes a wall between them and their loved ones. Relationships suffer because disordered thoughts and unmanaged emotions interfere with how we communicate. For example, I've known many women who, after a lifetime of sacrifice, feel trapped by the belief that their children don't appreciate them. The repetition of these thoughts, "My children never understand me, I'm no longer important to them," creates a spiral of resentment and sadness. This not only affects their relationship with their children, but also with themselves. The anxiety over what they can't control, what they can't change, takes over their life. And it's at this point when time seems to stand still. They feel stuck, trapped in a cycle of thoughts that pull them away from the peace and serenity they rightfully deserve. It's at this moment that Stoicism offers a profound solution. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus constantly reminded us that the only thing we have control over is our mind and our reactions to what happens. They taught us that suffering doesn't come from external events, but from how we interpret them. This is the greatest challenge of old age: changing the way we think, stopping seeing obstacles as threats, and starting to see them as opportunities to grow. This requires practice, discipline, and conscious focus. Mental training is as necessary as physical exercise, and it's what will truly make a difference in our daily lives. Now, this doesn't mean denying difficulties. We're not talking about ignoring physical pain, loss, or the inevitable changes in life. Stoicism doesn't ask us to be insensitive, but to learn to focus on what we can control and free ourselves from what we can't. Only when we have the ability to train our mind, to take control of our thoughts, are we able to live old age with a serenity that others can't offer us. For that, it's necessary to start today. The first step is to recognize that your mind can be your safest refuge, but also your prison if you don't train it. I invite you to start by questioning those automatic thoughts that arise whenever you face difficulty. Are they really true? Do you really need to stay trapped in those painful memories or anticipate with fear what might happen tomorrow? Practice accepting what you can't change and focus on what you can do now. Train your mind to become your best ally. The path to inner peace isn't easy, but it is possible. Not depending on the expectations of others or external circumstances is the first step. If there's one thing we've learned with time, it's that our true strength lies in our ability to choose how to respond to what happens to us, not in what happens to us. In the end, our mind is the only thing we truly have, and it's our responsibility to train it so it works in our favor. We've reached the third point of this video, and this is where things start to change. If you've followed the first 2 points, you've already understood that you can't depend on others, not even your own family, to ensure your well-being in old age. Now it's time to talk about what will truly allow you to live with autonomy and clarity, the need to redefine what truly remains, what doesn't depend on others or the passage of time. The only thing that remains is your own wisdom, the ability to see the world with a broader perspective, to interpret life differently, and to rebuild your sense of belonging and purpose from within. What I want to propose to you now is a simple yet powerful strategy. Invest in your personal wisdom. Instead of waiting for circumstances to offer you something that completes you, start recognizing the power you already have. Wisdom isn't just about learning from what you've lived. It's also about learning to see what's been lost, what's been gained, and most importantly, what's still to come. The Stoics knew this well. Life is not measured by what you possess, but by what you're able to see, understand, and accept. Marcus Aurelius said, "It's not death we should worry about, but that we haven't lived fully." This means you still have time to let that wisdom, which you've accumulated over all these years, become the compass for your life. Let me give you a concrete example. Imagine you've always dreamed of doing something that fills you, but you've held back because you're afraid that time has already passed. Maybe you think about painting, learning a new language, or writing your memoirs. The problem, and this is where the strategy lies, is that you can't keep waiting for the perfect conditions to come, because those conditions will never arrive. What you can do is start today with what you have, with the patience of someone who knows that life isn't about having everything figured out immediately, but about taking small steps toward what truly matters. This approach not only frees you from the anxiety of lost time, but it also connects you to an internal source of power, the knowledge that you can always start, no matter your age. Remember, what the Stoics taught us isn't just to think big, but to live with clarity in the small. Every action you take in pursuit of your personal wisdom is a victory. It's not about waiting for the world to give you what you deserve, but about claiming what's already within you. If you feel trapped by what you haven't done, now is the perfect time to start doing something, no matter how small. This isn't a call to perfection, it's a call to action. If what we've discussed so far resonates with you, subscribe and like this video. I'm sure today's reflection has touched you in some way. Let me know which country you're listening from, and if you feel that this message aligns with what you need, write in the comments. I have what I need to begin. I assure you that what's coming in the next lessons will be even deeper, and the last one could completely change the way you understand what truly remains for you to live. Don't miss it. We've talked about the importance of taking control of our mind and how we can begin rediscovering our personal wisdom. But now we come to a crucial point, one that might be holding you back without you even realizing it. It's time to face the most common mistake we see in many people who, upon reaching old age, think they have nothing more to learn, that everything is already done, that the time to grow spiritually, philosophically, or even to make radical decisions has passed. The fourth point of this video, and perhaps the hardest to accept, is precisely this: the mistake of thinking that it's too late to change, to learn, or to reinvent yourself. This thought is more destructive than it seems, because it not only extinguishes the flame of curiosity and the desire to grow, but it also sets a mental trap that slowly erodes our autonomy and inner peace. The trap disguises itself as resignation, as passive acceptance. You tell yourself, "I don't have the energy to start something new. I've done everything I could in my life. My dreams are too big for this moment." This mentality might seem logical, even reasonable, but it's a silent poison that seeps in and turns you into a spectator of your own life. It's a trap that steals your right to possibility, your right to keep evolving, your right to rewrite your story. The worst part is that this mistake doesn't come all at once. It's not something that imposes itself clearly. It installs itself gradually, like a seed that begins to grow deep in your mind. Society tells you that there's an age for everything, that after a certain point it no longer makes sense to learn new things, that what you've lived is enough. But this is just a narrative imposed by a system that values productivity and performance over deep reflection and inner satisfaction. By accepting that narrative without questioning it, you surrender your own power, the ability to reinvent yourself, the freedom to create a new story for yourself. And when you fall into that trap, everything starts to become smaller, narrower. You distance yourself from the possibilities you still have and become a kind of observer of your own days. The consequences of believing that you have nothing left to learn are devastating. Life loses its flavor, its challenge, its mystery. You stop seeking, stop asking questions, stop exploring. Relationships become routine, days slip by without purpose, and that feeling of dissatisfaction and emptiness begins to take over. The worst part is that, by doing this, you not only lose yourself, but you also lose the opportunity to connect with the world in a deeper way. Every day, you give up the idea of continuing to grow spiritually, emotionally, or philosophically. You're closing a door to the richness that's still available. Autonomy weakens because when you stop making decisions for yourself, when you stop challenging yourself, when you stop opening your mind, you become dependent on circumstances and what others might offer you. This dependency is what truly kills inner peace, because it puts you in a position where you no longer have control over what happens within you. True power isn't about doing what everyone expects you to do. It's not about meeting external expectations. Power is about following the path of your own curiosity, embracing the challenge of continuing to learn, of questioning what you've been told is the end. If you want to maintain your inner peace, if you want to keep living autonomously, you have to break that trap. You need to give yourself permission to keep learning, to do things you might not have considered before, and to see old age not as the closing of a cycle, but as the opportunity to open new doors. Stoicism teaches us that wisdom never ends, that there is always more to discover, and that each day is a new possibility to move forward. It's time for you to realize that it's never too late to start, to learn, to change. Inner peace comes from having control over your decisions, from not letting time take away your right to keep growing. No one else can give you that power, only you. The greatest mistake you can make is to believe that you can't change anymore. And I assure you that, as long as you're alive, there will always be something new to learn, something new to discover. Because what truly remains, the one thing that can never be taken from you, is the ability to keep choosing how to live each day. We've reached the fifth point of this video, and this is where we face the deeper consequences of persisting in a mistake that often goes unnoticed: the denial of personal autonomy and the acceptance of emotional and physical dependency. This mistake, which seems harmless at first, builds up devastating effects over time. If you're not aware of it, the path you're following will only lead to a life of frustration, resentment, and most seriously, a loss of respect for both others and yourself. The worst part is that this mistake infiltrates our lives subtly. We start depending on others for validation, for decision-making, or even for solving problems that are ultimately our responsibility. This not only weakens our ability to act, but it also undermines the relationship we have with our dignity. When we live expecting others to guide us, take care of us, or give us what we need emotionally, we inevitably fall into a cycle of frustration. The frustration of others not meeting our expectations, the frustration of feeling invisible, the frustration of not finding in our environment what we thought we should receive. It's a cycle that never breaks on its own, and as you persist in it, it becomes harder and harder to escape. The most obvious consequence of holding on to this mindset of dependency is the loss of respect. And I'm not just talking about respect from others, but that deep respect that only you can give to yourself. When you rely on others for your emotional well-being, you become a passive observer of your own life, waiting for others to take control or offer you what you should be able to give yourself. What happens is that the more you wait, the further you drift from what you truly need: self-respect, the autonomy to be the master of your own fate. This respect doesn't come from others, it doesn't come from a title or a place in society. It comes from the ability to act independently, knowing that you can make decisions for yourself and that, even if the world changes, you have the strength to face it without losing your dignity. Now, I know you're probably wondering how to reverse this situation. This isn't about a quick fix, nor a hollow promise that everything will be solved immediately. It's not about going out and doing something grand that changes your life in an instant. What you need is something deeper, a shift in mindset. And that shift won't be easy. It's a process that requires commitment and discipline, but above all, courage. The courage to take the reins of your life, the courage to stop waiting for others to give you what only you can provide for yourself. The mindset you need to adopt is one of self-sufficiency, emotional and practical independence. It doesn't mean you should give up relationships, help, or the company of others, but it does mean you need to learn to see yourself as the most important person in your life, the one who has the power to change circumstances, to say no when necessary, and to start living with the clarity that at the end of the day, you're responsible for how you feel and what you do. Reversing this pattern starts with, first and foremost, stopping the blame game. Stop blaming others or circumstances for what happens to you. If you continue believing the blame lies with others, your children, your partner, your environment, you will never be free. Freedom begins with the understanding that ultimately you decide how to respond to what happens. Change is possible, but it won't be easy, and it won't happen magically. It requires you to make decisions, seek answers within yourself, and be willing to challenge that narrative that tells you it's too late, that you don't have what it takes to move forward. Effective change comes when you dare to make conscious decisions every day, when you choose to face loneliness without fear, when you decide to say no to toxic relationships, when you start investing time in what nourishes you without waiting for others to give you that validation. This isn't a simple matter of willpower, it's a matter of surviving with dignity. Autonomy and self-respect aren't something you achieve overnight, but they are the foundation on which you can rebuild everything else. It's not too late to take control of your life again. In fact, it never was. What's needed is a radical shift in your mentality, Stop waiting for everything to come from outside and start creating from within. That's true liberation. We've talked about the necessity of taking control of your life and stopping waiting for others to give you what only you can provide for yourself. Now we've come to the sixth point of this video, which is even more crucial: the need to embrace uncertainty and choose curiosity over fear. This is the big difference between those who stagnate in a life of complaints, frustration, and isolation, and those who, despite the years, keep finding new reasons to live, new motivations to get up each day. If you keep searching for answers in what you already know, if you cling to the past as if it were the only foundation upon which the future can be built, then you will be doomed to live in repetition. And the worst part, the lie you tell yourself, is that you can no longer change. Imagine this for a moment. You wake up one morning, look out the window, and realize that you've spent years doing the same thing, in the same routine, in the same place, with the same people. You feel tired, exhausted, but not from physical fatigue. It's existential fatigue. The worst part isn't the weariness in your body, it's the emptiness in your soul. The feeling of being trapped in a cycle that no longer makes sense, that's going nowhere. Time keeps passing, and even though your days look almost identical to yesterday's, you sense that something fundamental is missing. And that something is the sense of being alive, of challenging yourself, of feeling like there's still something new to discover. It's a feeling of being dead while still living, without even realizing that the real enemy isn't the years or the circumstances or the people around you. The real enemy is the fear of the unknown, the fear of losing control, the fear of doing something different. If you keep chasing that false sense of security that the routine gives you, if you keep believing it's easier to stay in the known, in the safe, then what you're doing is choosing fear, not life. You're choosing to stay in a constant state of waiting, waiting for things to change, waiting for others to behave the way you want, waiting for the future to provide answers without you making decisions. And the worst part is that by doing this, you're moving further away from yourself, from what you really want and need, from what you can still achieve. This is the price of not wanting to embrace uncertainty. This is the cost of continuing to choose fear. The harsh truth is that life doesn't stop to wait for you to be ready. And if you don't take control, if you keep clinging to the known, because you're afraid of what's to come, you'll end up living a limited life, trapped in an invisible prison that exists only in your mind. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying everything is easy, or that you should dive into the unknown without thinking, but I'm telling you that you can't keep waiting for the perfect conditions to make a change. The time to start is now, even if fear is present, because fear will never fully go away. What you need to do is learn to walk with it, not let it paralyze you. When you stay stuck in this pattern of fear and safety, what you're really losing is the opportunity to grow. The frustrations that overwhelm you, the feeling that nothing ever changes, the emotional loneliness that becomes a heavy burden. All of this is the result of not daring to challenge the unknown, of not allowing yourself to explore new possibilities. Life becomes narrower, more predictable, and you begin to fade slowly. Years go by, and you find yourself looking back, realizing that you've been stuck in waiting for a life that never dared to begin. I know it's painful, I know it's uncomfortable, but change, real change, begins when you face the fear and decide to act, even if you don't have all the answers. The only way to escape the routine that's consuming you is to accept that the future is full of uncertainty, but also full of possibilities. It's time to embrace that uncertainty as something valuable, as an invitation to discover new ways of living, thinking, and feeling. What's at stake here isn't just your peace of mind, it's your freedom. The freedom to decide, to rewrite your story, to find purpose where you didn't think there was any. The solution doesn't come from clinging to control, but from letting it go, from allowing curiosity to become your guide. Life hasn't told you that you can't. It's only told you that you have to be brave enough to look beyond what you know. You can't keep waiting for the world to give you what you already have within you. Don't stop now. Life is waiting for you to take the next step. Will you take it? Or will you stay looking out the window, waiting for something to change? We've reached the seventh and final point of this video, and now it's time to look at everything we've discussed with a fresh perspective. We've analyzed what happens when dependency, fear, and resignation take over your life. But today, I want you to reflect deeply on something fundamental: the importance of finding meaning in the simple and practicing daily gratitude. This is the key to breaking the cycle of frustration, of living as a spectator in your own life, and beginning to feel that even though everything else changes, you can still find the peace and purpose you've been searching for. If you've been following what we've talked about so far, you probably already understand that change won't come from the outside, but from within. The world owes you nothing. Time doesn't wait for you. You can't keep waiting for something to happen without taking responsibility for what you do with your time and your decisions. Transformation, the kind that will free you from frustration and resignation, is only possible when you realize that everything is in your hands. You can't keep looking for excuses not to do what you know you should do. You can't keep waiting for others to change so that you can too. This is your life. If you don't take control of what's in front of you, don't expect anyone else to do it for you. Now take a moment to think. What truly fills you? What gives you meaning, even in the small things? Think of those moments that go unnoticed in the routine, those small gestures that, although they may seem insignificant, are actually the seeds of a fulfilling life. Maybe it's the simple act of a deep conversation with someone you care about. Maybe it's walking without rushing in the morning, or the still moment of watching a sunset without hurrying for the night to come. It's those small things, those everyday experiences, that give us the true meaning of life. There's no point in waiting for great achievements or moments of glory if you're not able to find beauty in the simple, in the everyday. And most importantly, in what belongs to you, your inner peace. Daily gratitude isn't about empty words or self-deception. It's not about being thankful just to be thankful, as if that were a mechanism to avoid the harshness of life. True gratitude is the deep recognition that, despite the difficulties, you have the power to find value, to see the positive in what you have right now. And if you don't find what satisfies you, why keep lamenting? What you have is here, in what you do today, in the decisions you make now. If you don't see it, it's because you're not willing to look at it honestly. Gratitude isn't a passive attitude, it's an act of courage, the ability to look at what you have and find in it a reason to keep moving forward. Now is the time to ask yourself, have you been living your life reactively, waiting for something or someone to change so that you can change? Transformation only happens when you take the reins, when you stop blaming the world for what happens to you and begin to create what you want. The truth is that excuses no longer have a place in your life. Denial no longer has a place. Transformation happens when you stop hiding behind victimization and accept that your life is in your hands. Will you keep waiting for something external to change so that you can change, or will you look at what's in front of you, no matter how simple it is, and make that your purpose? The final lesson from all of this is that peace, purpose, and happiness don't depend on others, nor on what the world can offer you. They depend on you, on your ability to stop looking for excuses, to stop looking at the past with nostalgia, and start building a new reality from what you have today. Life doesn't owe you anything. What you have, even if it seems small, is enough to begin. Transformation only happens when you decide that today is the day you're going to take control of what you have and stop waiting for someone else to do it for you. If you don't make that decision now, when will you? We've reached the end of this video, and I want what you've heard today to be more than just a passing thought. I want it to be a decision. You are at a crossroads, an opportunity you cannot let slip away. Throughout this video, we've spoken with brutal honesty about what it means to live after 60, about the mental traps that limit us, and the truths many prefer to avoid. Now the question is simple. Will you keep going as you have, waiting for something to change without taking action? Or will you take the step toward a life that truly belongs to you, even if it means facing your own fears and resistance? This isn't about easy comfort or empty promises. The change you need won't come from the outside. It's in your hands, and it's up to you to decide what to do with the time you have left. I want to acknowledge everyone who has made it this far. It's not easy to hear what we've said today. Many prefer to keep deceiving themselves, holding on to false hopes, or waiting for someone else to solve their problems. But you've been willing to face the truth head-on, to not ignore what's happening in your life. And that courage is what will allow you to change if you decide to apply what you've learned. So I want you to leave a simple phrase in the comments that reflects your commitment to this new path. Write, "My respect is non-negotiable," and tell me which country you're listening from. This is the first step to stay firm in what you've just learned and to show others as well. I'm Gabriel, and El Jardín Estoico exists to help you find clarity amidst the chaos, so you can regain that autonomy, that inner strength, which should never have been taken from you. This channel isn't here to offer you comfort, it's here to confront you, to give you real tools to live with dignity and purpose, without excuses, without victimization. If what you've heard resonates with you, I invite you to subscribe and become part of a community that doesn't seek comfort, but awakening. There is no room here for self-deception, only for conscious action. Share this video with someone who needs to hear these words. There are many people still trapped in destructive patterns, not knowing how to break free. If you can help someone see this, you'll be doing it for both them and yourself. And don't let this conversation end here. I invite you to watch one of the videos that will appear on the screen. Let's keep diving into topics that truly make a difference. See you soon.